Well, here we are, week 31 of our Bible readings. And I promise you, my wife and I are not world travelers, but July has been a travel month. So we are still looking at the Atlantic Ocean, but not from Maine. This time we're in Florida. And but still, this is the beauty of technology. You can do the videos. Apologize that it's late on Sunday evening. This week is going to be, I think, an exciting week. I'm going to be reading the conclusion or the concluding chapters of Isaiah, chapters 54 through 66, and then Second Kings chapters 20 through 23, Second Chronicles chapters 32 through 35, and then the book of Nahum. And let's be honest, how many of you have read the book of Nahum? It's probably not on most people's reading list, but it's on ours, so we're going to cover it. Let's talk first, though, about Isaiah chapters 54 to 66. What can I say? Another section filled with messianic inferences, and I'm talking good stuff. Especially look in chapter 61. I'll tell you why. When you couple that with chapter 35, that is a portion of the prophecy where Isaiah is telling the people what they can expect when the Messiah is on the hand or is on the scene. And I think I said this back when we looked at chapter 35, that when John the Baptist was questioning whether or not Jesus was the one, this is where he went to say, John, the things that Isaiah talked about that would happen when the Messiah was here, those things are happening and I'm doing them. So just a really, really incredible section. Then, Second Kings chapters 20 through 23. I'm just going to touch on this because this is largely about the reigns of King Hezekiah, King Manasseh, and King Josiah. Now, those aren't the only kings mentioned, but those are the prominent ones mentioned. And of course, these are all kings in the southern kingdom known as Judah. Now, when you go to Second Chronicles chapters 32 through 35, here's where you're going to get some insights. Very similar to Second Kings 20 through 23. But look for how the Lord delivers the southern kingdom. Remember, that's Judah from a potential invasion by the wicked king Sennacherib, king of Assyria. And you've got to keep in mind, too, that it's been 2 decades since the Assyrians conquered the northern kingdom, known as Israel, and they're a powerhouse. And they're coming to the southern kingdom to say, we're going to take you. Hezekiah turns to the Lord, and it's just a really neat story to see how God delivers them. Also, take note of Manasseh. Now, when you read about Manasseh, for most of his life, he was an evil man, a despot, a tyrant, but God broke him. And Manasseh repented, and it says that the Lord heard his prayer. And you see the reforms that he puts into place. It looks like a truly repentant and repenting man. So I'll leave that there. But then the story of King Josiah, the king who was a boy. He was 8 years old when he became king, but was a godly man and sought after the Lord from a young age. Now, when you read Josiah's story, he's hungering for the Lord, so he has the temple cleaned, if you will. And this is how bad things were. The book of the law had been lost. They found it in 622 BC. King Josiah reads it. His heart is crushed because he knows, God, we have not been faithful to you. So he calls the priests together and the people together, and he says, look, here's how it's going to be. Yahweh is Lord, and we are going to worship him. And God brings a national revival through this young king, a king who had a heart after the Lord, much like King David did. But you see this great move of God, really encouraging information there in Second Chronicles 32 to 35. And then finally, I want to talk about Nahum. I love this little book. There's a very interesting dynamic in Nahum's prophecy. Keep in mind that we know our English Bibles are not in chronological order, hence that's why we're reading the way we're reading. But about a century before, God sent the prophet Jonah to the Ninevites. Now, Nineveh, what's so important there? Nineveh is the capital of Assyria. And a century before all of this stuff is happening that I just told you about, God sends Jonah to Nineveh. He preaches that God's judgment is coming, but then the Assyrians do something. They repent, and God spares them. And it's like, are you kidding me? The Ninevites repent. Yes, they did. Jonah got mad about it. You might remember us covering that material. But here's the thing, a century has passed since that moment, and Assyria has gone right back to her old ways. And God is going to deliver a judgment. And unlike in the days of Jonah, this time when Nahum's prophecy goes, the Ninevites do not repent. And Nahum tells them the judgment of God is coming and it will occur. And we know that it does. So, Nahum, really interesting book. So that's what we have this week. I hope it is. I hope it's encouraging and challenging, and it's just very interesting. So that's what I have for you. Lord willing, we'll see you next week with another preview of chapters to come. Grace to you.